I love walking tours. It's my favorite tourist activity. You get to exercise, you get to hear compelling stories about the city and its people, and it's a great placemaking experience that helps you better understand the place that you live and work and play, or you're just visiting. And I also happen to love Champaign-Urbana, probably like a lot of you here. I grew up just outside of Champaign, studied engineering at the University of Illinois, where I was trained to ask questions about how things work and why things are the way that they are. And over the years, I've asked a lot of questions about this place that I call home. Like, how did Urbana end up here? How did the university end up in these twin cities? What is the name of the Boneyard Creek from? What is this egg statue doing in downtown Champaign? What is this engraving on the side of the Champaign City building? And as I've tried to find answers to these questions, I discovered that a lot of people have had the same questions as me. So last year I added a big question to my own list, and I set out to answer what would it actually take to start a walking tour business here in Champaign-Urbana. Naturally, my first stop as a millennial was Google, but the search results were not as helpful as I would have liked. Some examples of things that I found were good icebreakers to start your tour, or what email to send, or should you text or email your customers before the tour? What should you wear as a tour guide? So not really what I was looking for. I read a Yelp review by one customer that gave a 1-star review to their tour guide because he was carrying a flag and it got in the way of some of their photos. And literally the next review was another 1-star review by someone else who said their tour guide did not have a flag and was too difficult to follow down the busy city streets. So first thing I learned was you just can't win with everyone. There's an entire blog I read dedicated to tour guide attire, and you should know that safari vests and flags and microphone packs are all the rage in the walking tour world right now. I read a blog about how important it is to face your audience when you're giving a tour. A whole blog about that. That's not surprising. That was surprising to me. That's okay. Another about how to position yourself on the sidewalk so the sun is not blinding your tour guests. And they called that the solar eclipse effect, which I thought was clever, but still not really what I was looking for. A lot of the advice focused a lot on profitability, answering questions like, what kind of tours do people pay the most for? The answer apparently is haunted tours and literally anything involving alcohol. And another thing was, what's the best way to ask for tips at the end of your tour? Or so I thought at the end of the tour, and this one person wrote, don't ask directly, but constantly remind the tour guests about how you support your family with this income. Don't get me wrong, the business side of things is important and something I want to get to, but I decided that part could wait, and I wanted to start on two things. One being historical and cultural information about Champaign-Urbana and what makes it unique, and two being improving storytelling, having that be a key part of the tour. So I really dove deep into local research, and finding the information was surprisingly easy. We are spoiled for local resources here. The University of Illinois Library has some great public resources like Explore CU, like the Mapping History Project. The Champaign County Archives are a great place to start, just like local museums like the Champaign County History Museum. There's a lot of books and blogs that have been written by local historians. There's an abundance of facts. This building, the Cranor Center, for example, is coming up on its 50th anniversary. Originally built in 1969, it cost around $21 million. $1 million of that was spent on this floor that is made from teak wood imported from Southeast Asia. So please do not scratch it when you get up from your seat. They told me to mention that. That's important. But you have to do more than just have interesting facts. You have to craft a compelling story on a walking tour. So let me give you a very short, couple slides, virtual walk through Champaign-Urbana. Now, most of my tours have at least a short section on the railroad. Here you can see a satellite photo of the 3 most recent Champaign train stations. From top to bottom, they opened in 1899, 1924, and 1999. And the oldest of these 3 buildings is in this photo from 1923, when to make way for the new train station they were building, instead of tearing down the old one, they moved it about the length of a football field to where Black Dog is now. If you've eaten there, that was the 1899 built Champaign train station. And just like today, many university students came to Champaign by train. They might have picked up a newspaper on their way to campus. Here's a DI newspaper from exactly 90 years ago today in 1928. And one of the cover stories near the top right, if you can see it, is about trade wars and tariff treaties going on between the United States and the Republic of China. So that is fun for everyone. just a few pages through, and you'll see advertisements for a few local theaters like the Princess in Urbana, the Virginia, the Rialto, and the Park, which is now the Art in downtown Champaign. And this is right around the time that movie theaters around the country were popularizing air conditioning for the first time. Hence the Park Theater's tagline, always cool and comfortable. But it actually wasn't AC for another 10 years, so that was a lie. That was a lie. If you were at a Champaign theater in the early 20s, you may have run into this man. On the right is C.C. Pyle, a manager of quite a few Champaign theaters, but you might be more familiar with the guy on the left, Pyle's star client, U of I alum, the greatest football player of all time, Red Grange. Both men had left the area by the time the alma mater was installed in 1929, and it was originally on the south campus behind Follinger Auditorium, but in 1962, when it was relocated, the DI wrote an article stating that the placement makes the alma mater a debased commercial advertisement for this university. But she has become a symbol of our university nonetheless. So to start wrapping up, I'll answer a few of my original questions. Mr. Eggwords is part of the Public Art League, a nonprofit focused on the promotion of public art in Champaign-Urbana. And the Champaign City building has housed both the fire and the police departments at different times. So in the darkened brick, you can see the original fire truck bay doors that were on that building. And when it changed from fire department to police department, they just changed the F in the stone engraving to a P. And you can still see it on the building today. Seems a little lazy, but it's cool history. So this spring, this all came together. I officially launched Discover CU on my first public tours. It's photographed on top. It happened before the last Pachacachai event, actually. And I have 4 distinct tours at this time. They cover Champaign, one's on Urbana, one's on campus, one's on historic theaters. I don't have any public ones scheduled right now, but you're always welcome to inquire about scheduling a private tour. Maybe one day I can host a haunted pub crawl to really start raking in the dough. But until then, I'll focus on what I know best and what this town has to offer, and hopefully along the way I can help you discover CU. Thank you.